You guys know I swam with Aquaman one time? Yeah. Right there. Yeah. It was cold. It was pretty damn cold. But he kept me warm. Wasn't supposed to say that. What's happening, film nerds? Dave the Film Junkie here, bringing you a film review of Aquaman. That's right, James Wan bringing us some Aquaman, something we've looked forward to. And, you know, ever since Jason Momoa was cast so long ago, it was 2013. Crazy, right? It's like 5 years ago. And now he's got his own movie, made a brief appearance, Batman vs. Superman. Of course, we have Justice League, where a lot of his shit was cut out. And then, here he is in his own movie. Yes, directed by James Wan, starring Jason Momoa, Amber Heard, Willem Dafoe, Patrick Wilson. I can never say his first name, but Mateen the second. you know what I'm talking about. And, of course, Aquaman is about Arthur Curry, who is a half-breed. His parents are... One's a human, one's an Atlantean. They have him. He's kind of an outcast, kind of a loner. Well, he is. He's an outcast. He is a loner. But he is a protector of the seas and will fuck people up that are trying to do some bad shit. His brother, of course, Orm, who wants to be that ocean master. He wants to be the king. And he's summoned Mira, I guess. You know, she just comes out of the depths and goes, hey, you need to challenge your brother because he's about to take over and he's going to fuck some shit up on the surface. He's going to bring war to the surface. So naturally, Arthur has to do that even though he doesn't want to be king. And then he realizes that it's not as easy as all that. And then, of course, pretty much all that stuff that happens. And there you go. That's Aquaman. So what did I think of the man of Aqua? James Wan, I love you. This movie shouldn't work. This movie shouldn't work. It's Aquaman. He's been a joke for so long, and the fact that I love the fact that he's evolved so much in the books, and then evolved just a little bit more in the movies, just to bring it to here, and we know who to thank for that. Now, the way that Wan approached this character, this is what I think. He wanted to world build first off, and he great detail, and that's why I hear that he's a detailed dude. He wanted to show people that Aquaman isn't a joke, but he also I don't think wanted to take things too seriously. Okay, and you can't take yourself seriously. With this kind of character, you really can't take it too seriously, but that is going to turn people off. Funny thing about that, though, is, the small group of DC fans that are hating on this because it's not being serious enough are, they're now agreeing with the critics who are also stating the same thing. The critics they hate. The movie does have cheesy moments. I'll give it that. There's naturally, of course, it was going to have that, but not enough to take me out of the experience. I was still very much engaged because this movie is just absolutely gorgeous. Some of the best visual effects to date, and it just blows my mind, the details that these artists achieve. Just like a high fucking five. I know Juan is a detailed man, like I said. He wants everything detailed. The hair moving, just the way that people move and stuff like that. Must have been, pretty tedious and it was a struggle, I bet. And, the struggles that they had along the way, I'm sure there was frustrations and everything like that, and it was just a long road. But once they saw the final product, they probably went, hey, high five, give me a hug, let's pop a beer. Jason Momoa! I was a little worried because, he hasn't really been a lead. And he wasn't in Justice League for sure, and he worked as, that side character, even though that movie didn't fully work. I'm sure as a side character in the Snyder Cut, it would have been perfectly fine. But I was a little worried that he wasn't going to be, how is he going to be carrying this movie? And worry not, my friends, he did great. You believe he's Aquaman. You believe that no one else can play the character. The physicality that this man has. On and off the screen, if you follow him on Instagram, and he's a very physical dude, and he brings that presence to the big screen, to the character, and you see him kicking ass, and it's him, he can pull it off, and he's just, I don't know, he looks like a goddamn superhero. Patrick Wilson! Up there with Michael Shannon Zod. It's not better, but it's up there. And like I always say, like we always say, when you start kind of agreeing with the villain and what the villain wants, that's a good villain. But his presence, man, I mean, you worry about Arthur. You get worried for Arthur. You're like, Arthur, he's going to fuck you up. Mateen, if I'm saying his last name right, he's great as Black Manta, but I think he's going to shine more in the sequel, and hopefully he does. You only get like a little bit of taste here, just enough screen time, I think, in this movie. Amber Heard! Well, hate to say it, but she was one of the weaker parts. Not always, but just, some of the... I just found her acting bland a little bit, but when she's doing her thing, her Mira thing, fucking things up, using her powers, that's where she shines. She definitely shines there. But, when it came to the chemistry between Arthur and Mira, I was like, it wasn't quite there, but it could have been worse. But the fact that Momoa is so good, it makes it better. But it's not like, nearly as bad as like Hardy and Williams in Venom. The origin story of Arthur, my God, Nicole Kidman, that woman just doesn't age. She still looks gorgeous. She's so badass here, especially in the opening. Whew. And then, they get to, Arthur growing up. They do, some cool little transitions. Like, Juan really did some pretty good transitions to show, flashback stuff. But, they kind of brush through the younger stuff, the younger years. Like, that aquarium scene they see in the trailers. It works for the trailers. But honestly, if they removed it from the movie, I'd be okay with it. Once the story really kicks in the gear, the pacing's great. It's well achieved. You're just in there for a ride. There's some tonal shifts throughout the movie, but that might throw people off, but I was fine with it. I was perfectly fine because it's just so much cool shit to look at. There's also an early scene that you see kind of in the trailers that I was kind of worried there was going to be a cliche scene, but it ended up being quite hilarious. They took it a different direction. I was like, that's kind of cool. And yes, there is jokes, guys, but they don't feel forced. Yeah, most of them don't, and they don't detract from any drama that's happening, so don't worry about that. So, of course, Aquaman will go on the favorite wall of 2018. I don't have my wall because the file, I'm not even going to talk about it. It was very frustrating, so just know there's a wall, but we're getting so close to the end of the year, I'm not going to reconstruct the wall, so let's just leave it at that. It definitely is on the wall of favorite movies of 2018. Like I said, guys, there's some Man of Steel vibes in this movie. I tell you what, especially, obviously, when he gets the trident in the actual classic suit. Definite Man of Steel vibes. And that's just a great, great scene. Great. And then, talking about, they do reference Justice League. Really just one part. And, we already know that this really plays off more of Snyder's cut than Justice. So there we go, guys. Yes. Go see it. Go see it on the biggest screen you possibly can. I can't wait to see it again, and look forward to my spoiler review. I'll have it up this week, and I'll get it up. And that sounded weird. I'll get it up this weekend. Yes, I'll do my best. Sometimes I'm really bad with spoiler reviews because I like to see it again. But I think I was so engaged in the story that I'd like there's only a few spoilery parts that I really want to talk about, and we'll get to that. So there you go, guys. Yes, go see it, and if you have seen it, which a lot of you already have, because I saw it after a lot of people around the world, let me know your thoughts about it down below. Hit that thumbs up button if you'd be so kind. Subscribe to my channel. Visit filmjunkie.com for all my content, and of course, visit the closet for shirts and stickers, and follow me on the social media stuff, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. All right, guys? Talk to you later.